Stay. One sentence can flip your love life. The person who treated you like an option only understands when you give them nothing. No texts, no proof, no performance. You gave everything. They drank your love like it was endless, then walked away like you were nothing. You begged once, maybe twice. You explained your worth in long messages, hoping they'd finally see it. They didn't, and that's the gift. Because now you learn the rule that changes everything. No more emotional proof. This isn't revenge, it's self-respect. It's the moment you stop translating your value into tears, paragraphs, or late-night confessions. Marcus Aurelius said you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Your mind is your border now. Your silence is your policy. Here's the brutal truth. You cannot argue your way into someone's soul. If they could only recognize your value after you bled for it, they were never ready for your depth. Epictetus warned, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit. When you stop reacting, you stop cooperating. With your own harm from today, no emotional receipts. I'll explaining why it hurt.
No final essay.
Hoping they'll finally understand. You don't chase, you rise. It's like the sun. You just show up as yourself, calm, centered, constant. Everything that needs you will orbit. Everything that doesn't will drift away. That's not cold, that's clarity. Maybe they'll say you're distant. Let them. They're not watching you detach, they're watching you heal. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." Freedom isn't the absence of love, it's the absence of begging. Your peace becomes the paragraph they never deserve to read. So draw your line in the sand, I choose peace. Not to prove anything to them, but to finally choose you. No more emotional proof. Your absence says what your words never could. You were the gravity, checking in, overgiving, shrinking your needs just to keep them close. They assumed you'd never stop pulling. Then you did. And suddenly, they're free falling. Your silence disrupts the system. No message to ignore. No reaction to control. No love to take for granted. The mind doesn't know how to process the sudden loss of consistent energy. That's when panic begins. But don't detach to be chased. Detach because your worth is not a negotiation. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Don't mirror their games. Mirror your standards, your mantra. I stopped pulling. You're not a net. You're not gravity on demand. We're at your own center now, grounded, calm, free. This wasn't just love, it was supply. You fed their ego with attention, reassurance, and empathy. They ate endlessly and gave you crumbs. Now the buffet is closed. Withdrawal follows. They reread old messages like a fix. They pretend they're fine, but significance deprivation haunts quietly. Seneca said, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Their imagination is now their punishment. You finally see it. You were spoon-feeding someone who never lifted a finger for. Your heart, your energy is now earned, not assumed. State it clearly. I am not your supply. Your voice used to fill every room. Warmth, forgiveness, explanations. They mistook words for weakness. Then you went quiet. Not dramatic silence, clean silence, stoic silence. Now they're left with echoes and questions. No proof of your pain. No argument to soothe their ego. It's just a mirror made of quiet. Marcus Aurelius again. Let silence be your general rule. Say only what is necessary, and in few words. Your boundary. My silence is sacred. You don't raise your voice. Anymore, you raise your standards. You were the emotional center of gravity, the star they orbited. When you withdrew, the collapse wasn't yours. It was theirs. They lost structure because you stopped sustaining the fantasy. Proof reversal. The less you prove, the more they panic. They expected a midnight confession. You gave them nothing. Silence says, I'm done. Louder than any essay ever could. Epictetus taught, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Let them misread. You're calm. You're not here to correct anyone's story. Then comes the stoic flip. Your cold peace feels like rejection to the chaotic. They wanted war. You gave them neutrality. That's unbearable to someone who feeds on drama. Finally, the return. Not because they've changed, but because absence revealed value. Let them come back if they want, but you don't owe anyone access to the healed version of you they disrespected when you were breaking. Your final vow: I choose peace over performance. In our world, we are taught to prove our worth, especially when love is misunderstood. But the Stoic truth is clear. The more you prove yourself to someone blind to your value, the less they respect you. When you stop proving, when you stop sending long explanations or desperate texts, your silence speaks volumes, Epictetus said. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Choosing silence is not weakness, it's mastery. Instead of pouring your energy into convincing them, you let absence carry the message. Their mind fills with questions, regret, and fear. Your mantra: I owe no proof. To someone addicted to chaos, your calm feels like abandonment. They expect drama and rage, but you give them quiet clarity. Marcus Aurelius advised, you have power over your mind. Your calmness confuses and disarms them because they can. No longer provoke or control your emotions. You've removed yourself from their battlefield and elevated your standards. This cold peace is not cruelty, it is strength. My calm is power. They once mistook your loyalty for weakness, thinking you would always be there. But when you walked away with dignity and silence, they felt the sting of true loss. Their regret grows as they realize the warmth they dismissed is no longer available. Seneca wrote, sometimes even to live is an act of courage. Live now with courage and self-respect if they return. It's not because they've changed, it's because they finally see your value. But your healing means you no longer need their validation. Your vow: I choose peace over performance. You were the emotional sun they orbited around. When you withdrew, the collapse wasn't yours, it was theirs. They lost their anchor because they never learned to stand on their own. This quiet detachment is cosmic, not cruel. By reclaiming your energy, you let them face themselves, as Epictetus said. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. Your affirmation: I reclaim my center. Detachment is not about indifference. It is about discipline. The discipline to not overreact, over-explain, or overgive. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When you stop chasing and start living for yourself, people feel the absence of your energy. And that absence becomes your loudest statement, your truth. I live with quiet strength, silence, calmness, and self-respect. This is your legacy. When you stop proving and start living in alignment with your values, you become unforgettable. Their regret is no longer your concern. You are not here to beg for love, but to embody strength, dignity, and peace. Seneca said, he who has courage despises pain. You've learned to endure and rise. Final vow: I choose peace. I choose me.